Hey y'all, welcome back to my channel. My name is Becca and today's video actually is not about wedding planning, which is surprising. My channel and my blog really are mainly about wedding planning over this next year as I move up to my wedding, but today's video is actually going to be a health update. So basically, gosh, over 2 years ago, I posted a video that was called My Lyme Disease Story, and it was about living with chronic Lyme disease. And I actually, I got a lot of comments on that video. I had a lot of people that reached out to me with similar stories with Lyme disease and stuff like that. So now that I have kind of come and, I've been running a blog for the past year and I'm trying to make some videos to go with it, I figured now could be a good time to do an update on my Lyme disease story, because we are now probably close to 3 years after I posted it. I probably posted it close to 3 years ago now. And so much has actually happened since then. So there's been a lot of different things that have gone on since that video. I'm pretty sure I talked about all of the different things that led up to my diagnosis, all of my different symptoms and flare-ups. Probably anemia was already on that. I think I was just starting to struggle with some gastro issues. So I actually am not really going to talk about that in this video, but I totally can. That was an entire process all in itself. But today's video is really about probably the most traumatizing experience I've had since I've had Lyme disease, and it was the scariest time of my life. My year of 2017 was pretty horrible. Mentally and emotionally and physically, it was a horrible year because of this. So basically, probably when I made that first video, I probably already had this happening, but I had this weird ball that would come out from like the crease of my eye. So kind of like between the bone of my eye socket and my actual eyeball, I would get this little like ball that would come out, and it was just something that like, it was soft, and if I pushed on it, it would just pop right back in. So it was definitely really odd. And I had gone to the doctor, and basically he told me he thought that it was either scar tissue that was like preventing blood from circulating right, because I already had a scar on my eye from when I was little, or he thought it was like something with allergies. So he kind of just like sent me on my way and didn't think of anything of it, and I went home. So I had this weird ball for at least 2 years, probably close to 3, but around the beginning of 2017, I started to have like migraines and stuff all the time. I would get super, super sick, to the point that I really just like laid in bed for days on end because I was in so much pain, and it was horrible. I didn't drive very often. A lot of things would set it off, but it was just a painful experience, really. And eventually toward the summertime, probably May or June, I finally went back to the doctor, and I was like, okay, this is really getting to the point that I didn't want to live in this condition. So I went back to the doctor, and again, I showed them this ball that was coming out of my eye. I will see if I can insert some pictures while I'm talking of that ball. But it was definitely weird. And the doctor that I went to this time really thought the same thing. She was like, oh, it could just be some like fatty tissue that's popping out. It's probably nothing, like it's fine. And because I was in pain and I didn't really like her answer, she referred me to a actual ophthalmologist. So literally like 2 more months later, I finally went to the ophthalmologist, and this lady was the same way. She was like, oh, it's probably nothing. It could be fatty tissue. It could be like just a number of things that really meant that it was totally fine and there was no issue. But because I was in pain and I really didn't think that was good, like that wasn't my answer, and I knew that it wasn't my answer, she referred me to an oculoplastic surgeon at Emory in Atlanta. So I waited another like month or two and finally went to her, and she looked at it and really thought it was nothing as well, but she was like, you're having migraines, and I know you want to rule out if it is because of this, because my migraines were on my right eye, which was where this ball was. So she was like, you know what, we'll just do an MRI. So we scheduled an MRI, and I went in, I had it done, and about a week later, I was shopping in Target, and she called me and said that she did the MRI on my lacrimal gland, which is the gland that's right behind this like brow bone right here. And she was expecting that maybe it was out of place, which is something that's super easy and actually happens to like old people a lot, and it wouldn't be an issue. But she called me and said, we actually found something. So what they found was that I had a 6 millimeter mass or lesion that was on or a part of my lacrimal gland. So basically it was, I think, 6 millimeters by 6 millimeters by 5 millimeters. So it was like kind of like perfectly shaped, and she couldn't tell if it was sitting on top of the gland, pushing on it, or if it was growing from the gland basically. So that kind of freaked me out, of course, because knowing that you basically have like a tumor on this place in your ocular cavity is definitely stressful. There's not much information on that condition. It's actually very rare to get a tumor on your lacrimal gland, apparently, and very often they can be cancerous, and that scared me because a lot of times when they're not, it is, I think, sarcoidosis, and we knew for a fact that that wasn't what I had, because I think that's the one that's like a lung disease that can go into your eyes, and we knew that wasn't the case for me. So I was obviously freaked out for the next like month while we waited to have my biopsy done. But basically I went in to have a biopsy, and I chose to do it awake because if I wanted to do it with anesthesia, I would have had to wait until like Christmas break, and I really didn't want to spend my holidays just being worried about that. So on November 6th, I believe, I went in and they basically numbed my entire eye, and I sat there fully awake, and they cut open my eyelid from like start all the way to the end, completely through, and it was weird because I could see literally through my eyelid. And she pulled the gland down and took off most of the tumor. We don't know if it was like completely the entire thing for sure. It might have been. She says she got most of it, if not all. And then we waited. I will insert some pictures here of what my eye looked like after that, because the recovery has actually been horrible over the past like 6 months since I had this done. I still do get migraines. I still have the symptoms, but we are kind of waiting a while before the next steps. Anyways, so I had the surgery, I went through recovery, I'll put some eye pictures of what it looked like, and I got a call that it was not cancerous, so that's exciting, but it was actually inflammatory. So if you see what I'm getting at here, we're pretty sure that my history of chronic Lyme disease literally gave me an inflammatory tumor. Because if you don't know, Lyme disease is an infectious disease, but it really affects inflammation to a pretty large extent, and it can affect any part of your body. So for me, it seemed like it kind of went into my eyes at this point. So we're pretty sure that's what caused it. There's nothing we can do about it. There's really no preventing it from coming back. We kind of literally just have to wait and see if it comes back. And that's really it. There's not a treatment outside of steroids, and I don't want to take steroids. And yeah, there's no preventative measures, which kind of just goes back to the fact that doctors really are not Lyme literate in the South. I have never found a doctor that knows Lyme disease and treats Lyme disease like a real disease. But yeah, that is my crazy rare tumor story. And I'm kind of still going through it, I guess. I'm about 6 months out from my surgery that I had. So I've been recovering still. I still have the same symptoms. I still have migraines. Not as bad as before, but definitely not better either. But my doctor basically has said that she wants to give it as much time as possible because a lot of nerve regeneration can cause that kind of pain, apparently. I don't know. I have had a couple reactions since then too. I've had like my eye kind of flare up in some weird ways. But yeah, I mean, I guess there's not much else to say about it because that's what it was. Lyme disease has struck again, and that is really my biggest update over the past few years since I made that first video. Yeah, there's been some other things that have happened for sure health-wise, but that has definitely been like the scariest and most insane. But definitely let me know down below if your story with Lyme disease. A lot of people did that last time and I really enjoyed that. It's really nice to know that you're not alone. And I will see you guys in my next video, which will probably be much more upbeat. It'll probably be about wedding planning or cooking or something much more fun. So I hope you guys will subscribe and come back for that, but I will see y'all next time.